Red Devils, sit down for this one, because Old Trafford has just delivered one of the most unexpected twists of the entire summer. A player who looked destined to leave, a player half this fan base had already mentally written off, might actually be walking back through the door. I'm talking about Marcus Rashford. And that's not even the only thing moving behind the scenes right now. There's a midfield rebuild still in motion, a fresh setback the club has had to absorb, and a domino effect connecting almost every position on the pitch. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where this transfer window really stands. Right, let's start with the story that's completely flipped the narrative this week after his loan spell at Barcelona, where, let's not forget, he actually won La Liga. Everyone assumed Rashford's Old Trafford career was finished. Barcelona had first refusal on making that move permanent. Instead, they shocked the football world by declining to trigger their buy option and moved for Newcastle's Anthony Gordon rather than keeping Rashford. That left his future completely up in the air heading into the World Cup, with United widely expected to cash in and sell this summer. Now, according to Fabrizio Romano, something has genuinely shifted. Speaking on his YouTube channel, Romano confirmed direct contact has taken place between Rashford's camp and Manchester United in the last 24 hours, with the club now open to reintegrating him into Michael Carrick's squad for pre-season. And here's the key context. This isn't the same environment Rashford walked away from. Ruben Amorim is gone. Carrick is in charge. Now, by every account, United would be happy to welcome Rashford back into the fold for pre-season, and Rashford himself hasn't closed the door on restarting his story at the club. Romano went further, revealing that the message from United was sent directly to the players' agents, with a face-to-face meeting taking place just 2 days ago, that both sides walked away from feeling positive. That's a real tangible step, not just vague speculation doing the rounds on social media. Here's the part that should really grab your attention, though. Team Talk's understanding is that Director of Football Jason Wilcox has already instructed staff behind the scenes to prepare for a scenario where Rashford stays beyond the transfer window, with fresh work being carried out specifically on his reintegration into the first team environment, and further discussions already held with Carrick himself on how that would actually look on the training pitch. That's not just polite talk from the club, but that's genuine internal planning, budget implications and all. Now, don't get carried away just yet. Romano was equally clear that with roughly 8 weeks still left in this window, nobody can guarantee Rashford is 100% staying at Old Trafford. If a serious offer arrives from elsewhere, and reports suggest interest has come from clubs both in England and Saudi Arabia, United could still be tempted to sell. But the tone out of Old Trafford has clearly and unmistakably softened compared to just 2 weeks ago, and that alone is a massive story for this fan base to process. Quick but important update elsewhere. Manuel Ugarte suffered a serious knee ligament injury playing for Uruguay at the World Cup and is now facing a lengthy spell on the sidelines. Rough timing, because United had earmarked him as a summer sale to help fund midfield reinforcements. The good news for fans worried about the ripple effects? That David Ornstein reports the injury is not derailing United's broader midfield rebuild. The priority remains bringing in fresh faces regardless. Ugarte simply goes from for sale to sidelined, and the club moves on. That's really all there is to it for now. Let's get into where the actual midfield business stands, because United have built out a genuinely long shortlist for the engine room this summer. The Athletic's reporting names Aurélien Tchouaméni, Alex Scott, Carlos Baleba, Adam Wharton, Sander Berge and Felix Mecha as players United have assessed for the middle of the park. That's 6 names being actively monitored. This is not a club sitting still. Let's break down the realistic ones, starting with the name with real history here. Carlos Baleba. United pursued the Brighton midfielder hard last summer before ultimately walking away from a package worth over £100 million when the asking price didn't move. He's firmly back in the conversation now, especially with reports suggesting Brighton could become more open to business if they land a replacement of their own in Lamine Camara from Monaco. If that domino falls, United could finally get their man. Alex Scott of Bournemouth is another genuine Premier League option on the table. Bournemouth, though, reportedly want to tie him down to a fresh contract with a release clause rather than sell him outright this summer. And Arsenal have already had an approach firmly rebuffed in that pursuit. So United would be walking into a genuinely difficult negotiation there too. And then there's the dream scenario, Tchouameni. The Real Madrid international remains firmly in United's thinking on paper, and if his situation at the Bernabeu ever opens up under a new manager, reports suggest United would be at the front of the queue to take advantage. But let's be honest with each other here, that's the longest shot on this entire list, and nothing concrete suggests Madrid are ready to let him leave anytime soon. File that one under keep an eye on it rather than expect it. Here's where all of this actually connects, and it's genuinely fascinating how one story is holding up another. United's plans for a new left winger are directly tied to what happens with Rashford. Reports indicate the club could actually postpone signing a new winger entirely, potentially pushing that piece of business into next year, specifically because Rashford's chances of staying are steadily increasing. West Ham's Crysencio Somerville has been floated as United's leading alternative in that position, and Sky Sports understand he's genuinely on the club's radar, but that move only happens if Rashford genuinely leaves this summer. So think about that for a second. One player's personal decision on his own future is now effectively pausing an entire separate transfer plan elsewhere on the pitch. That's how interconnected this rebuild has become behind the scenes at Old Trafford, and it's exactly why fans should watch the Rashford situation so closely over the next few weeks, because it's not just about him anymore. So let's bring it all together, Red Devils. Rashford's Old Trafford career, which looked all but over just weeks ago, now has real tangible momentum toward a genuine reunion under Michael Carrick, with direct contact made, positive meetings held, and the club's own hierarchy quietly preparing for that exact outcome. Ugarte's injury has been absorbed without derailing the wider midfield rebuild. Baleba and Scott look like the most realistic midfield reinforcements on the table, with Tchouameni sitting firmly in dream scenario territory. And the winger search is now effectively paused, waiting entirely on Rashford to make up his mind. This window still has around 8 weeks left to run, and if the last 48 hours are anything to go by, it is not slowing down anytime soon. Let me know in the comments below, are you ready to welcome Rashford back with open arms, or should United still be looking to move him on for good? Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I will see you Red Devils in the very next one.